Hello! So today I decided on a whim that I'm going to do a tutorial for my speedrun route currently of Deedlee do Carkour. A parkour game where you do, or a car game where you do parkour with a car using rockets. It's very funny. I did the music for the game, but I personally also really love playing it, and I do have currently approached like sub 20 times in this game. And you see Nate's cat there. That's Boomer. Very famous cat in paintings in like the Fallout games and also in the Fallout TV show. So yeah, meow. Our goal is to reach the Meowton, right? So we start here. This is like kind of our tutorial area. The timer doesn't move until I start moving. But this tutorial area pretty much teaches you how to play the game if you're starting out casually. But, you know, we're speedrunners. We don't really like tutorials. So mainly the first thing that we'll want to do is we want to go approach this left wall here. And we're just going to do a bunch of spam rocket boost jumps. I don't know the name of this. This is all new to me. This is just all stuff that I've been doing. But we'll adjust our car, sort of tilt it, and then just like rocket jump up. And work on doing like a double bump. Or, you know, if things go well. If it goes well, we should be able to get up to the clouds here. Double bump might not have been enough. But this is good, so we can show you what to do. So let's go ahead and do that again. We kind of just like tilt our car and then just spam and try to get as much vertical momentum as we can. And then we're going to land on this cloud here. Or try to. It's very finicky about whether you can make it or not, but if you slow down and spam your rockets, you should be able to reach these clouds. And so what we want to do from here is we're going to approach this cloud right here, and we're going to try to do a double boost. The dragon is here, so that's like a little bit of insurance in case you're not making it far enough or something. Which oftentimes you may not, unless you're getting like a really good amount of speed. We're going to do a rocket landing, so we'll shoot rockets as we land. So that way we kind of don't lose, like, we kind of have control of our momentum, because if we just land and not do anything about it, you kind of just like go moving in a specific direction, and we don't really want that. So if you do your rockets and you... Well, here, let me do this so I can illustrate this. Like, if you end up doing that a bunch, you'll be able to, like, straighten yourself out, and you're not going to be sliding around everywhere. So what we want to do here is that we want to do, like, a double boost, vertical kind of boost. And we're going to try to catch this wall here in Forest. We don't really spend a lot of time in Forest in this speedrun. And so we kind of work our way up to this platform using these walls. And then now we're in desert. From here, what I like to do is double boost and make our way up to this rock here. And sort of boost as you need to. And get up to this top of this area here. Also, we'll say, not the best at playing and talking at the same time, but I'm going to do my best, okay? So we make it to this top rock here, and then we double boost and make our way to the other rock. If you're going fast enough, you might skip this rock entirely. It's really up to how the game decides to feel about you in that moment. And we sort of break and then sort of boost our way up. And there's another section that's like this. And from here, we'll double boost across this chasm here. And then make sure we're doing all our stuff like braking before you land, shooting rockets before you land, so that you're able to have a decent landing. The ground in Deedlee do Carkour is very crooked, so like you can't just drive across it, generally. I mean, you can, but it's going to be very bumpy and really annoying, right? So Really, why the developer did that is that you're actually using your rockets and you're not playing this like Forza or whatever. Because the rockets are the point. But yeah, we kind of just like fling ourselves across the map. And like if you get stuck, you kind of just back out and, you know, all that sort of thing. But generally the idea is that we want to launch ourselves with these pillars to get to the next area. And be careful because there are 2 holes in the ground right there. Don't fall in there. I joked with Nate and like I kept asking him, like, I keep noticing all these holes in the floor. Are you adding the holes in the floor to the game? You know? So, you know, just be aware there's holes in the floor sometimes. So now we're in City, which is the 4th biome. You know, do our rocket landing, make sure that we're not flying everywhere. If you're playing on a difficulty with a checkpoint, this is the first checkpoint that I like to get. Because it is pretty easy to mess up here. And this is where the game really starts becoming difficult. And so we're just gonna go like rocket boosting off these walls. If you have enough momentum, you'll be able to get to this building over here. If you don't happen to have enough, you can also use the car that's back over there. So from this building, depending on how good our momentum is, I either like to land on this cat right there or on that building over there. So, but I think the general safest thing is to just land on the cat. So I tend to do that unless I'm really flying. And you know, just rocket as you land. And you should have a generally good time landing on stuff. So we land on this building. And we're going to do another vertical double boost up. And if you don't go all the way up, that's fine. Just sort of make sure that you're not hitting like a window, because those will mess you up. Do another double boost vertically. And kind of just like slow down. Make sure that you're not like flinging yourself in areas that you don't want to go to. We're working our way up to like about this elevation here, so that way we can get to the beginning of the ocean area. Like generally this crevice over here is around where I want to make the jump. And I either do that by sort of riding that wall and then just tilting yourself into place. But this is where ocean starts. And so what we want to do for ocean is that, like, height is really good for ocean, but we also want to think about length. You know, this is like the hot dog compared to the burger, I guess. Sort of thing. So really what you're wanting to think about is you're thinking about like going far instead of high up. So the less that you can go high and more forward, that's the better for you. That's what's better for you. And you may run into walls, so you may want to use some of your side rockets as well. But generally, you're going to use your bottom rockets the most. But we kind of take ocean from the top. It's way easier that way. But there are a lot of like seaweed things you got to be careful to not hit those, because they're going to really mess you up. It's pretty plain from the top generally up here. But at the bottom there's a huge drop off if you go this way. So you kind of just want to, like, you know, stop, go, tilt your car to where it wants to go. And, you know, try to land this and take it the best that you can. Sometimes you'll go flying. It really depends on how you're going. And generally from here, I'd like to just like shoot off the pillars or just land on the sides. Really, it's just fling and go is what I like to say. You kind of just stop in place, do your rocket, make your way to where you want to go, fling and go. So yeah, fling and go, fling and go. Aim for where you want to land. Make sure to do a rocket. But it's not going to go 100% the way that you want to go all the time, so you may have to adjust. Luckily, I was able to save that there. And so basically, this is near the end of Ocean. I think the intended way is basically that you do this and then you kind of just do that, but I don't really like to do that. So how I usually like to do it is I like to sort of face the wall and then jump up, do your rockets, and then just kind of spam your rockets. You should be able to be picking up a lot of vertical speed. And at this point, you should be able to reach the next area, but make sure that you don't land on the trio of dope fish there. I had something very funny happen to me when I tried to approach this area really fast and forgot about the fish. But yeah, general rule of thumb, just make sure that you're shooting rockets as you land. Now we're in clouds. I like to call this area Dark Souls, because this is really where the game starts to get difficult. There's a lot of these pillars, and you want to double boost as much as you can, because we don't like taking pillars. Pillars are really annoying. And just sort of rocket jumping as you land. Double boosting and rocket jumping as you land is going to be like the two biggest things that you have to do. And also pick a pillar, do a rocket boost, and land. You can skip them, but you also have to be reasonable and realize that you may not make everyone, so you will have to adjust for that. And that's pretty much all this area is really going to throw at you. It's really just going to just only throw pillars. Yay. And like, you know, curvature, different heights. So you kind of just want to, like, you can skip stuff, but just be careful and make sure that you're not getting too greedy. Because I do think it's really easy to lose your patience and be like, oh man, this platforming sucks. I really want to get through it. I'm just going to skip a bunch of it. Kind of ask for a reasonable amount. Don't oversell it. Don't think you can just skip all the way to the end. Kind of just judge how it's going and then sort of adjust based on how it's going. Because see, like here, I'm picking this one. I'm not going straight all the way to the end because I do think I'm going to biff it there. I didn't really need to double rocket boost there, but double rocket boosting is your friend. And so I'm often doing it without realizing it. And sometimes you may not get lucky and get the double boost. So you will have to adjust. This pillar here is very tall, so I'm not going to just go right over to that. We'll kind of just skip as we go along. And then, yeah, just like skip every one, like every other one. Nothing really too much more than that, because we do have height, and they're starting to get more farther spread apart. But these ones at this corner here, these are a lot more pushed together, so you could do a bigger skip that way. So I think like if I do it like a double boost here, you should be able to make it to either to that pillar or to this landing area here. Now we're approaching a new biome. This is above the clouds and what I like to call Dark Souls 2. You know, much how there's the first Dark Souls, this is a, you know, variations on a theme, if you will. So we have this ramp, and then we sort of see what our next obstacles are. I'm not sure if this was like just for a bit of drama or what, but you can see here we've got a bunch of meteors kind of things. And the meteors make this really tricky. So you can't really get like a lot of speed off of them, so you really want to depend on double boosting here. And more than any other area in the game, this is where you really want to practice your rocket landings. So we'll double boost here. And I think you can also skip every other one. Again, a lot of this game comes down to just practicing and, you know, really getting familiar with what your abilities, with what your car can do and what you can do. So, but generally a lot of double boosting here. And even though that one was kind of slow, I was still able to skip one. I think just starting out, it's good not to skip and kind of just do them as you go, but recognize that doing rockets as you land is going to be really good. And I don't think you necessarily always have to stop. You could just use the rocket, but you know, do recognize when it's going to be a risky move for you. And some of these are crooked, so you want to adjust your car. And just sort of just aim land, rocket land. And you should get through this pretty painlessly. Really, more than anything, there's really an element of patience that you have to practice, which can be very stressful if you're in like a speed run type situation. But I do promise you, being careful and making sure that you're doing everything right will save you more time than trying to do it fast and wrong. And so this is the area where it starts to go higher up in elevation. So if we were doing like, you know, two or more skipping 2 or more meteors, we're not going to want to do that. We just want to do like 1 max. And I mean, yeah, you can pretty much just, you know, you don't even have to stop. You can just rocket, but you do have to be aware, like, just do what's safe, you know? Only you know really what works for you, so just kind of sort of eye it and make sure that you're doing what you can based on your ability, etc. Sometimes I like to whip the tail of the car, so that I did that there. So really, there's pitch, there's stop and go, and there's tilting. So it's like very much like the combination of those is going to get you what you want. Now in this area, the rocks are going to get smaller as they go along. So you do really want to be careful. So it's like not so bad here, but it gets to like the size of a peanut as you approach the end of this area. And sometimes it gets spread farther apart too, so you have to be aware of that. Really, they're just trying to make you mess up. And this rock in particular is crooked, so you may want to take your time and readjust yourself into an angle that you like and sort of tilt to correct it. And we're having less and less space to work with, so you are going to want to do your rocket landings. And you can still double boost and stuff where you can. But yeah, a lot of the times with these rocks, you'll be put in some pretty stressful situations. So it's just best to mitigate that as you can. Really, ultimately, our goal is to make it to the second to last one. Because that last one is really hard to land on, and we don't want to do that. And even then, this one is also still a very tricky one to land on. But I think generally from here, if you're here, you'll be able to make it if you double boost. So we're going to do a double boost, and then clear our way to space. Space is the final area in the game. And, you know, we could do rocket jumps on the walls, but know that we can't really land on the walls that much because there's a bunch of spikes on them. Nate added a bunch of spikes because I was getting through the level too fast. And he said, you need to slow down. So that's why there's a bunch of spikes here. Sorry. And yeah, just kind of just managing your momentum. But generally, this is going to be a wall jump zone. At the very least, you don't have to be dealing with meteors very much. So that's a little bit refreshing. But I kind of just like to tilt myself at an angle, hit this outside wall here. Hey, don't give Nate any ideas. He should not put them on the outside. See, it's already hard enough. My car did get a boo-boo, and I apologize. And this is also a really easy place for your nerves to kind of just go wild. And so you kind of just have to lock in. This is really your difference between, like, being able to get victory or just, you know, a bunch of disappointment. So in a lot of these situations, you kind of just want to land in between the spikes. Kind of just like how it is in Ocean. And also just like kind of stopping and, you know, sort of riding the wall where you can. But yeah, there's no floor anymore, so basically you can't count on landing on the floor at all in this level. So your best friends are going to be like these alien heads or like the bits of land in between spikes. Unless you want to do this all with wall jumps, that's fine too, but I don't really like doing wall jumps that much. If I do, I like the vertical ones. Also, that was insane. Wow. But yeah, pretty much just like approaching a corner of the wall and then just spamming rockets. And adjusting if you happen to get a little squirrely. Yo, Savadra, thank you so much for the good luck. I've been doing really good. I hope you've been well too. In any case, like, this is your final checkpoint in the game, and we're almost to the mountain. And so, but, you know, if you're playing on a higher difficulty, this is not going to be here. So, but generally from here, we'll rocket boost, double rocket boost, and just find a good spot to land. I'll probably land over here, even though that's, like, not great. But generally, just do stop and fling. Stop and fling is the thing to do. Also, Nate made this a monstrosity for me. I can't talk, I'm sorry. I mean, I can't even talk because of how awful that is. There's so many spikes on it. Like, surely there's no way you can speedrun your way up this, right? But no, you kind of just double boost here and then you do this. And just sort of spam rockets as you go up. Every once in a while you may get flinged, so be ready for that, be aware of that. But we're almost to the mountain. Your long quest is now almost over. So depending on how crazy you go on that wall, you could be launching up far and very high. So you just kind of just want to be aware of the best place to land. Do your rockets before, and it shouldn't be too bad. And this is where the true moment of winning or losing happens. So this is the very end, and we have only 2 meteors separating us between us and victory. So what we want to do is we want to get to the end over here, double boosts, and we're going to skip this first one. But we really want to make sure that we land on this one. So we're going to slow down, we're going to do our rocket landing. And if we're stopped, it should be pretty easy from here. So we go, back up, double boosts. And that's it, we've reached the mountain. Anyways, I hope this helps. This game is wonderful. You should pick it up. I mean, I would say you need to pick this up because you need this in your life, but you know, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I do think that this game is wonderful and that you should pick it up and support Nate. You know, independent developer, truly makes wonderful stuff that not a lot of people are making. So I do think that people should check this game out. And check out Deedlee Do Carkour on Steam. Put it on your wish list, leave a review, etc. Hope this helps. See ya.